Hello, everyone. This is the African Actions Network to a Communication and Consultancy Limited. Today, we have come to have a discussion on issues that matter to the world. Primarily, we asked the question today: Iran, Israel, and the Hamas conflict. Why should African countries be concerned? Why should African countries be concerned about crisis or the war in Gaza between Israel and Hamas, the war going on in when now there is a conflict. Iran has launched over 300 missiles and projectile, whatever military software, not software, military machine gun, whatever drones into Israel. And that is a concern right now as the globe of world leaders are discussing this matter. So, what should African countries be concerned? Or should African countries sit and think like they are not part of the conflict? Why should they be concerned? Instead of discussing Liberia, we also have to look at the globe and see how things are moving on the international scene. So today we ask the question, why should African countries be concerned about what is happening in the Middle East? We think African countries should be concerned because right now, um, Israel, that was directly attacked by Iran actions, Israel has decided to retaliate on that. And the global community are all talking to Israel that their response could cause a larger conflict, not just in the Middle East, but it could be conflict around the world. Someone in Africa will say, well, we are not close to where the actions are taking place. But there are issues that you should all be concerned about because this is a global conflict, a geopolitical conflict that could affect any part of the world if this situation goes off hand. So we ask the question, why should African countries be concerned? There are many reasons why we think African countries should be concerned. They should not think, okay, this is a conflict between Israel and Hamas in the Middle Eastern side of the world, or Iran's actions on Israel will have no effect on Africa or any part of Africa. That would be a misjudgment. That would be thinking far beyond what seems to be the reality of conflict. For example, we talk about security. If Israel decided to respond to Iran will also want to, that escalation will get to be a bigger conflict. America has said she's there to protect Israel, but she does not support Israel taking the bigger picture of their response. If they move into Iran with an attack, America said she's not prepared to go that route. When it comes to defending Israel, America, that's almost like an iron gate, a shield. That we will defend Israel when anybody want to go in there and attack Israel, or Israel is attacked. So the question is, African leaders, what are they discussing? Because even the continent, I think ECOWAS or the African Union or the Organization of African OAU, this is not OAU now, right? You have the AU. The AU should be having series of meetings as to how to handle the crisis or whether or not they can, in fact, get involved in helping to solve the crisis so that the crisis cannot go offhand. Africa is not an island. Africa cannot say, well, we have no fish to fry. That would be a serious mistake. So the issue of security, you know that when there is an escalation of hostility in the Middle East, that could lead to a proxy battle involving African nations. I'm not sure that even the OAU are united when it comes to looking at these matters. If the AU is to convene, I'm very certain you will see larger division among African countries. So that's probably could be one of the best reasons for Africa or the AU to meet and begin to discuss and see whether or not they can put their differences aside and look at the bigger picture and see from their own thinking who's wrong, who's right, or how can they help the diplomatic discussion so that this conflict cannot go off hand. Because I see a serious division in Africa if Africa was to ever decide that, look, we will make a decision as to which way to go. If it's an attack on Israel, Israel decided to retaliate, the security issue would be a wider implication for the world, not just for those two countries, not just for the Middle Eastern countries. That's why the United Nations has solved. She's doing everything possible so that Israel cannot retaliate, because that will open a wider conflict in the world. So the silence of Africa, I think African countries, I want to believe that some countries are involved in the diplomatic discussions. But why can't it be the AU, the African Union? Why can't it be the African Union? By this time, the African Union would have issued a statement to say their position on this crisis that's going on. Because if Israel has said she's going to respond, so how is that going to be? What's going to be the wider implication if Israel ever did that? Like we talk about security, Africa, there are proxy groups already in Africa. You have all of the jihadist movement all in Africa. What's going to happen? That would be a serious crisis. Economic impact. Ukraine crisis is on. Ukraine is not sending food as they should have done or what needed to be done. Ukraine is not doing that. It's not because Ukraine doesn't want to do it, because of the conflict in Ukraine between Russia and Ukraine, you cannot have food shipped to the rest of the world like it was before. And Africa cannot feed herself. So on the economic front, you're going to have a very serious increase in geopolitical tension that can disrupt trade and foreign investment, leading to financial market losses and heightened tension. So I'm wondering whether or not African countries, the leaders in Africa, are in fact having discussion on this matter. Because mind you, this crisis, why the United Nations and other world leaders are fighting for diplomatic solution, but the crisis continues. So this is no joke that African leaders will say that we don't want to have these kind of discussions. I don't want to be very specific on Liberia on this thing, because even with Liberia, I'm not sure whether people are even having cabinet meetings to have these things discussed as to how they will handle this matter. Doesn't matter how small you are. Liberia will have a voice. The president of Liberia, if and only if he sees this as a conflict, the idea could come from any African country, any African leader, or any leader around the world as to how solution can be found. Rather than sitting supinely and think that, okay, we are an island, maybe your actions speak with that. So there must be an involvement of African leaders in the diplomatic discussion or finding solution to what is going on. Because it's a bigger issue for the world. If Israel and Iran will get in a serious battle, trust me, there's no way you're going to have the fuel price will be very high up. And when you don't have fuel being shipped to Liberia, the prices of gasoline will go high, and then you will have citizens in serious disagreement with the prices of fuel, and the government has no means to provide fuel. Then you start your own crisis because of that. So why don't you get involved to begin the negotiation, the discussions? Call some of your people around the world. I don't know. I think Joseph Bogat, you have international friends, other world leaders. Share the thought. Maybe Joseph Bogat could call on the AU to convene. So we need to talk this issue that's happening between Israel and Iran. We need to speak like a continent, or any other leader on the African continent should be able to urge how urgent they need to meet and have this kind of a discussion going on. Maybe an African leader could call the Israeli prime minister, say, look, we Liberia, right? For example, like people say, we were the singular vote that gave you your independence. So we come at this time to urge you to exercise restraint. That's what has happened. Or Liberia could join the AU and then they will come up with a joint statement and see how best they can all get involved in a diplomatic discussion. Because security issues get worse, it will be bad for Africa. Africa herself get a lot of issues. A lot of issues of instability on the continent of Africa. There are, crisis, government coup, and all of those stuff. Then you tell me that the world is in crisis. Some people will find favor with that because they want to just ensure a division. Those who want to live in greed will want to think, okay, you know what, we can do this by ourselves, or we'll be glad that it's a crisis. We can also institute crisis here, which wouldn't be good for any country. All right. So the security impact is a major reason why African countries should be thinking how they can help other global leaders to find solution to the crisis in the crisis between Israel and Iran. Because everyone is now listening to Israel. Israel says she's going to retaliate. How? That's the question. When? That's the question. So in the time of those when and how, if you think you are a leader on the continent of Africa, your voice or voices of all of the African leaders can be heard. And that is one concern that we have in our discussion today. Let's look at the humanitarian crisis, right? If there's a conflict because what we are talking about, if it happens, that's a global conflict. That's a huge conflict. People will want to leave from Iran. Ordinary citizens will want to leave. Ordinary citizens of Israel, they will want to leave. So people want to find a place to have a safe haven. If you can't find a place, don't take it for granted. You will have movement of people on the continent. Because why? When there's crisis, nobody want to be in crisis. Especially huge major crisis. None of us were living during the World War II, World War I. So probably we do not understand the magnitude besides reading about this. Some of us probably don't even read to understand the magnitude of World War I and World War II. That we will have an idea to begin to discuss and see how the global leaders can fight never to see the war going to World War III. Because we don't even imagine the number of persons that died during World War I and World War II. Probably we think it's a joke. Maybe somebody would think, okay, you know why? United States will protect us. So when anything happens, that's United States looking at the bigger picture. So you, smaller country, you should help the bigger nations to see how you offer a solution to the problem. So again, the security issue will be of a serious nature, not just to the Middle Eastern countries, not just the America, not just everywhere in the world there will be a problem. People will be more concerned. And the thing you don't expect sometimes, there are other evil people who wait for crisis to get their aims accomplished. So the humanitarian situation will just be very serious, and you need to look at these matters very seriously, either as a country or as a continent. The global political economy will be very serious, will be broken apart. The Middle East is a key player in global energy market. You know that. We talk about gasoline or fuel. The Middle Eastern countries, they are supplying. So let's assume there's crisis going on in there. What's going to happen? You're not going to have right now, even in the tension between Russia and Ukraine, you know that the ships have been threatened on numerous occasions. Even Liberia flag being flown by some ships. I mean, in the Ukrainian crisis, we are told there was a ship that was hit that was flying the Liberian flag. So the African countries must be very serious to look at these matters and begin to have and be part of the solution finding. It shouldn't be where everybody sit and think, okay, I have my own crisis, I should contend with myself. No, because anything happens is going to affect the world. Any disruption in the region of the Middle Eastern countries can lead to fluctuation in oil prices. There is no joke about even just the news alone. The prices of oil or gasoline will be very high, and citizens will not be able to cope with it. That would be a serious disruption. African countries that rely on import and export from any part of the Middle Eastern countries, they will suffer greatly. So that's the reason why African leaders must get involved to see how they can help in find a solution to the crisis in the Middle East that is primarily between Iran and Israel right now. These are countries that have um, serious foes when it comes to crisis. Just recently, let us assume that all of the things that Iran was sending to Israel, if all of those could have landed in Israel, imagine the devastation. So because of these things, people don't say because it's not me. Yesterday, when Liberia, for example, on the continent of Africa was in crisis, you had other world leaders, Nigeria, ECOWAS, they rallied around, they went over there to help Liberia civil war. So this is time that people should be able to look at these issues. What will happen if Israel retaliated and Iran decided to go with full force too? What's going to happen? That's going to be a very serious problem. So then why don't you all African leaders, the AU, join America and other good loving countries and find solution to the crisis in the continent? Even the crisis going on in Ukraine. We know African leaders, some of them are taking side already, but that should not stop the organization from having discussion. It's a simple thing to tell you, Russia, look, withdraw from Ukraine. So for peace, hey, withdraw. But you cannot have the crisis going on over there and you think you're living in peace. It's just a matter of time. So African leaders must do all they can to get involved in finding a solution to the problem on not just on their continent, but might be involved in a global crisis going on. African leaders will have to navigate complex diplomatic waters as they balance relationship with different Middle Eastern countries or states. Because when I think sometimes, like for example, China is a power, America is a power, you find yourself as an African country, you find yourself as a leader on the continent of Africa. What do you do, even at diplomatic relations between those countries? If you don't have discussion, maybe you say, okay, for example, Liberia is an independent country, Nigeria is an independent country, Burkina Faso, all of those countries. So Africa, everybody wanted to stand their own position. That's just the most negative thing that anyone can imagine. So if this crisis go too far, you have nobody wish for these things. And I think we are even hearing that social media, people are even infusing a lot of conflict in social media. So some of us are even we all have to be just careful what you say right nowadays. because you never know what somebody going to pin you at. Somebody can look at, maybe say to a radio, okay, these people are discussing this. They're all infusing conflict on what is going on. So there's a lot of reasons why people need to talk so that they can all help to find solutions to the problem on the continent of Africa. Now in Africa, right now as we speak, the issue is Iran has attacked directly. Besides the proxy organizations, military groups that have been fighting Israel and in the Hamas crisis, this one was a direct attack from Iran to Israel. So Israel is saying, hey, we're going to retaliate. Why the world doesn't know what Israel is going to do and when they're going to do it, but good people who don't want to see a larger part of what is going on or a serious conflict, they are involved in diplomatic discussion or trying to call on Israel not to retaliate in a manner and form they want to do it, or they may want to do it, so that they can have a wider conflict. And that is just fair, because I don't want to imagine certain action. You think too dirty, you just get in the mess to imagine what will happen. If Israel decides to attack Iran with full force, Iran too will want to come back with full force. Think about it. If you're a leader on the continent of Africa or any part of the world, think about it. That would be a serious problem in the world. If maybe you don't even get storage for gasoline, they can run for 6 months. Crisis starts, you're going to go for a longer time, and you not have a means to take care of your citizen, you're definitely going to have crisis on hand in that part of Africa. So this is what we ask Israel, Iran, and the Hamas conflict. Why should African countries be concerned? Should be concerned because anything that spark a greater conflict, the security situation would be jeopardized. The economic impact would be disrupted. The economy, the humanitarian concern, humanitarian crisis would be worse than what it is. The global political economy, the fuel, the price of fuel, all of those things would be very serious, and you would not have means to help your people. And by that, you will have your own internal conflict as a result of these situations. If you don't feed your people, you get no food coming. Right now, Ukraine, one of the producers of grains, is in serious conflict. I don't think they can make farm that they've been doing before. So if they're not sending rice out of their country to the global community, and Iran or the Middle Eastern countries are in war, they cannot send fuel out there. Then the energy market of whatever country you find yourself, Nigeria cannot produce all the supply Africa. So you find all of those things are reasons why people need to talk and decide how to go forward. Africa as a continent, if they were ever to sit and discuss and came up with a position statement favorable to join other world leaders with better mind, better understanding, it probably could have a result, favorable result. All right. So for us here, we are concerned about the security implication, the economic impact, if there was any greater conflict, or if Israel was able to attack Iran with a very serious force, you will have a very serious implication in the world. And all of these people have process group. Iran has process group, right? So if all these people begin to take their own route, people want crisis. Those who have big weapons, they want crisis. Some of them want crisis. It can be in the Hamas terrain. People all in the butchers in Africa. The last time we said about 300 school-going children were kidnapped right in Nigeria. So when there are bigger conflict, these people take advantage of it. So then this is time to talk and try to see how your voices can be heard. All right. So this is just a short video. We just thought to those who get ears to hear, they need to have the global partners, how they can find solution to what is going on. Nobody, I will say that I don't want a greater conflict. I don't know how to fight. So anything happen, children fly away. You can imagine that, just the stress alone, right? You don't have plane flying. Where you want to go easily, you can fly it. You can, the airspace. Who want to fly? Because the airspace that people will use to fly missiles here, there, and they don't want to tell you, say we fly, well, okay, there's plane flying over there, so we'll not launch our missiles. They do all kind of crazy stuff up there. Those will be in the air. What happened to them? Freedom of movement will be disrupted. You can't move from one point to another. So this would be serious, serious crisis, and we don't pray for that. So this is why we say, those of you who are leaders, it's time to join other world leaders and begin to find solutions to the problem in the world. All right? We can sit and see nothing going to happen. Yeah, something happening. People are dying. Every day people are dying. Not because it's not in your country, not because it's not you. But when you imagine that people dying every day, you will try to find solution to the problem, especially so those of you who are being elected to serve. You must get involved. There's no joke about what is going on. Iran is on the edge of south. Israel is calculating what to do. Israel said they're going to do something. What they're going to do, nobody knows that. So you can't be part of the global community. You are a world leader. They father, it doesn't matter the size of your country. Senses will come from your head, and it could help other people to feel, okay, this makes a lot of sense. We can take this approach. But I think African leaders need to take a position or get involved in finding a solution to what is going on between Iran and Israel. Because like now, the two countries, they're on the edge. Nobody wishes to see World War III, right? But you can discuss these things, you don't talk about these things. And right now, we all want to be careful with social media because there's a lot of bad apples out there now. And imagine if people begin to blame you as being a terrorist, pressing all that kind of stuff. For me, I know for sure nothing we do in America that people don't know what is happening. Sometimes people even monitor more than we think of ourselves. So when things are becoming very serious, nobody wants to sit on social media and discuss anything because you cannot make. Sometimes you want to make analysis of things, it might just be taken out of context, and you don't know where you find yourself in. All right, so the freedom that we all enjoy will be disrupted if there's any conflict between Iran and Israel. So the whole Palestinian and Israel, Hamas, Israel, is going beyond that now. You see what is happening? It was just Iran, not Iran, it was Hamas that went to Israel and killed hundreds of those people and took some of them as hostages. That crisis led to the Hamas crisis that has been going on for months, right? So right now, out of the same situation has grown Iran attacking Israel. Although they linked it to the bombing that took place in Iran. But the reality now is the fact that those two countries are holders of nuclear weapon, arms, the drone, that one is common on nowadays in the world. And some of them have more sophisticated weapons that we don't even want to imagine them using it. And the best to do is always just to realize, where do you find yourself as a world leader? You must be prepared to have your say. The thing goes often. Imagine Liberia situation. Let me just twist the Liberia a little bit. Imagine if this was just conflict was in the world. You think Liberians and already someone who already knew to handling guns and other stuff, and with all this thing going on, asset recovery, this and that, corruption for all this. People wish for this kind of evil stuff. So we don't think that's the best way to go. Peace today will be better for everybody. And not to sit and pretend like you don't know what's going on. Okay, somebody is saying here they gave Israel kudos and hope that Israel will get Iran out. It's not as easy as anybody would think. You can't sit and say, well, we hope Israel could get Iran out. You imagine that is a bigger conflict. very bigger conflict. Iran will do it. Israel will do it. It's just the innocent people that are dying right now. You can't imagine it. It's a serious, serious situation. I mean, it will even take a religious turn if if there was a bigger conflict between Israel and Iran. You can try in Africa with all these Islamic groups or Muslim organizations and all of those stuff, Christian organizations, people will start taking position on all of those stuff. It just may just be worse than anybody can ever imagine. So it's time for people to talk. It's good to talk than war. So everybody must be prepared to engage. And those who are supposed to talk are those who have resources of their country. They can begin to move other world leaders, call other world leaders, your media, have discussions, come up with a statement, urge those who are directly involved how to desist. If you do not do that, and you wish to say, okay, Israel can crush uh, uh, Iran, or Iran can crush Israel, why would you even think of that? That's a serious one. I don't want to imagine that. Okay? Nobody want to imagine that. You must be prepared for peace talk. And I hope Israel will take it easy to fight that. The number of drones and missiles that was launched at them, fired at them, it did not cause much casualty, although there are serious implications. They are serious because the conflict between Israel and some of the Middle Eastern countries is so serious that to the point where people talk, you cannot eliminate Israel. It's not possible. So if you think of that, you just say, well, this is just going to World War III, because if any attempt to do that, the other party will also take other action. So what can you do? Israel don't want to sit for them to be eliminated. The world leaders, and those are things they're looking at. Should we sit the number of 300 missile or drone that came, if it was in because of probably their sophistication, having all of those, maybe with a system with other world leaders, if all the things would have dropped in there, we would be talking different thing today. There would have been a lot of deaths. All right? Yet, if Israel retaliated and Hamas say, well, we won for the first time, we won for the second time, it's just going to be a lot of mess in the world. So that's what we think. It's not necessary for all of us be saying, you know why? We think Israel is so sophisticated that she and Iran go for war, they're going to do that, they're going to do that. That's not the time to talk those kind of a conversation. I don't think the war has come to the place where everyone is wishing for war or ever taking side. So this is our conversation today. We just want everyone to start thinking about these kind of situations going around the world. It's not an easy thing. I mean, I saw some of the shell that dropped in Israel. Those are heavy, heavy weapons people are using. It's unimaginable. But if that has happened and with no serious human casualty, I know it's a threat to the nation of Israel, but well, people believe Israel must exercise the greater restraint. How they're going to do it, we do not know. All we say here, you sitting over as African leader, you can't sit and act like you don't know what's going on. You need to have your own meeting by this time. You're not going to wait until the crisis gets to the peak, then you want to have meetings. Just to even convene, you'll begin to dissolve or resolve your own issues as African countries. This might not be, we have too much crisis or conflict on the continent of Africa. So they themselves cannot pretend that they don't have crisis. So if the global community is in crisis, they themselves, two big group of problems. The Muslim and Christian conflict on the continent is a serious problem already on the continent there. So people have to start looking at these things. Some people, even the big powers, some of these countries want to support Russia. Even though Russia, personally for me, I need Russia to have moved and want to take other people's land, it makes no sense to me. All right? So that's a crisis too. So if that crisis is on, you have Iran and Israel crisis on, then you have Israel and Hamas crisis on, then China and America, these big powers are all, then you start taking side. Some people feel, okay, you know what, we're gonna hang out with China. Other people say, okay, we're gonna hang out with America. At the end of what you're gonna see, we're gonna have world war. And that will ordinary people will suffer. You must say we don't know how to fight war. The Magats when a war, when there's a real world war, you go study about World War III, see what was happening. We're dropping heavy weapons. What are you gonna do? You don't get manpower. What happened to you? That's something I was thinking about. If people keep dying on this side, let's say there was a serious conflict, like for example, what's going in Ukraine. Ukrainian soldiers are dying. The last report I listened to, I think over Ukrainian American last night listened to NPR talking about over how many thousand, or I think over 150,000 plus people are coming from there. The news is so bad that we cannot imagine those things. You think the people wanted to die? No. When there's war, you have anything can happen to anybody. So we think there's time for everybody to begin to talk the issues of peace. You're not about saying, okay, man, I wish this one will happen. The big powers, they know what they're discussing, they know what to say. But don't be a part of the whole, like social media now. People are saying a lot of stuff. That's not the way for it. No, don't go that route. Someone talking about even cable, there's some group say they want to dismantle the cable on the water. The cable that get us using internet. If they get warfare on the water, all those things, what's going to happen? There's going to be no communication. So that's why people will begin to talk. Somebody say they want to go in space and go cause problem over there, or go on water cause problem. We just can't imagine that. The whole earth can be destroyed just because of human greed and this place everybody could live in peace. But the crisis go on, everybody wants to show strength. You just put the whole world on fire. All right? If you destroy internet service, then a lot of things happen. A lot of things will happen. We have no control over what is going on in the world. So that's what we think of. And personally, our call at this moment is for African leaders themselves to be more serious and be calculative as to how they can get involved in what is going on between Iran and Israel. Okay? So that's how I want to close our curtain for this short discussion. And we might be looking at Liberia tomorrow. There's a lot of things going on in Liberia. Primarily, there is this crisis between Amara Kone and the Minister of State. I think we need to close our eyes on that. Hopefully, if not tomorrow, maybe Saturday or so, because that's another serious issue, right? Corruption and information out there is just troubling for everybody to pretend about it. You have to get serious. If we cannot help the global community to solve some of these problems, and you all are not fighting to develop your own country, people are all up for self-aggrandizement, it's just going to be wicked someday. Wickedness will continue. Somebody just gets angry someday and just take the law into their hands. Especially when there's a global crisis, we'll get none for you. People fighting, people using their resources. You see America, the Democrat and Republican are arguing just to send money to Ukraine. That's happening almost like at the front line. So what happening is small country like Liberia or African leader, maybe Burkina Faso or whatever people doing over there. As much as the international community will be concerned, but the calculation will not be on you. No. You must make yourself relevant in this discussion so that when things happen, they can look up to you. Well, how many African countries are even thinking about what's going on? Let's say, for example, say that have some relation with, like, when last Joseph Boga ever called, take phone and say, let me talk to the US president, gave Liberia position on what is going on. Call Joe Biden and say, Mr. President, this is Joseph Boga from Liberia. I just called and said, okay, thank you so much for what is going on. This is my country's position. We hope that you continue to make sure that these people don't go to war. Or call maybe the Iranian president and say, look, Mr. President, I mean, we do not agree with you on this one, but this is how we think you all should handle this thing for peace sake. We all must maintain peace in the world. wherever you want to place your call. All right. So in short, that's what we want to talk about today. We think that there's a need for serious negotiation, discussions, and make sure that there will be no further escalation. We don't have control about it at all, but you can have a say. That's the issue. No one can determine what Israel is going to do, right? No one can determine what Israel is going to do, but people can determine. People can have their say, can make their own predictions. Say this is what we think. This is how we think. And then African leaders can have a joint statement issue. Everybody may not sign. There will be disagreement. I mean, where you have a lot of people, but the majority can put out a very forceful statement that would be good for the world. All right. So that's how far we want to come on today, and we say thank you those of you who've been watching or following us. We say thanks so much, and this is the African Action Network. We are an online platform, and of course, we hope that the world can be a better place for everybody to live. The children, the elderly people, these people can't help themselves, so they need help. And the way you can help them is not to wait until the bullet come to your door mouth or you see fire raging in the air. World War III was one of the deadliest crises. Nobody wished to see any of those things in our time. To avoid that is to talk. All right. So that's what we say. Come to the close of our curtain today. Thank you so much for watching. Share the video, make a comment. Or maybe you have a far better idea than I do. So what you do, look at the crisis, you want to come and say something on the crisis, we'll be glad to host you. All right. So once again, what we've been discussing, we're talking about Israel, Iran, and the Hamas conflict. Why should African countries be concerned? And we say they should be concerned because there will be disruption, there will be a security problem around the world. If if Israel was able to retaliate, Hamas would want to shoot back, and that would be a serious, serious conflict. All right. Humanitarian crisis would be there. Economic activity will be disrupted. You will not have gas or fuel moving from any Middle Eastern countries easily to go to another country. Those things will happen, but the prices will be very high and the rates will be high. All right. Schools will be disrupted. Information will be disrupted. The way we don't control this internet. If something serious happens, somebody want to go on a sea and go destroy those cables, you're just going to have too many things going on. And you have no control about it. All right. So thank you so much for watching. We want to say be there for us and let's be there for you too. Share the video, make a comment, and let's have a discussion and see how far the world can go on this matter to have a result. Again, I'm James Johnson. Have a